Whoa, holy change in video format, YouTube. What is up, everybody? Now, I'm going to be doing something different to how I approach my movie reviews. In the past, unless you're new to my videos, in which case, hey, I have been reviewing movies in a very simple fashion. In the past, I had been reviewing movies in front of a microphone, recording my own voice, reading off of a script I typed up on my computer, and I didn't think that would have been very unique of me, as there wasn't much personality to how I reviewed movies, in my opinion. So I'm taking a bit of an inspirational note from many other YouTubers and actually trying out what they have been doing for a while and recording themselves talking to viewers as if they were an audience on how they felt on the movie that they were reviewing. So that's what I intend to do from now on, and hopefully with positive feedback, I can make my videos a lot better later down the line. But my video plans are not the reason you clicked on this video. You clicked on this video to find out my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy, which stars Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, and Bradley Cooper. But there's a lot more to the cast than just those five, and is directed by James Gunn. Now the plot, which of course is based off of the Marvel property of the same name, follows our title group of characters in them finding an artifact that they hope will be the key to saving the galaxy from our villain, Ronan. Now I was curious about Guardians of the Galaxy, as it was a Marvel property that I'd never heard of up until this point. And from the trailers that I saw before I even initially went into this movie with a clear mind, the movie looked really funny. That was already one thing it already had going for it, as I knew I wanted to be laughing throughout this entire movie. And I also wanted to be dazzled with a bunch of special effects that were shown, and I hope the cast did great in the roles that they were portraying. How was it though? Let's run down the whole thing. Chris Pratt was a perfect Star-Lord. I believed he was the character. Not only was he funny while doing so, but he was also able to kick some ass when he needed to in any of the action scenes he was in. And I really believe that Chris Pratt is one of the best up-and-coming actors we have in Hollywood today, and I hope he does well even after this movie becomes successful. Zoe Saldana plays Gamora in a very great fashion as well. She was the only female in our group of ragtag heroes, but she was capable to be as much of a badass as any of the male heroes in our group. And she also had a very gripping emotional tie towards her relationship with the villain, which I'll get to later. Drax the Destroyer was portrayed by WWE wrestler Dave Bautista. And you could have fooled me to show that he really can act. He does what a wrestler does well, and that's fight. I really thought that he was great in all the action scenes he did. He was also a funny character whenever he had lines that would rival all the other members of our group. And he just was a capable muscle that every group needs. And you can never hurt to have another tough guy in your group. Vin Diesel voices Groot, who is literally a walking, talking tree. But the lines he does have are only limited towards his vocabulary, as all he says are the same three words: I am Groot. And while that may seem a little bit annoying for his character, he was not the least bit annoying at all. Every time he delivered that line, he was funny. He was also very tough when he needed to be, showing off his cool tree powers. But he also added a sense of charm that a walking, talking tree could add to this movie. The one character I did not mention out of the main cast so far is Rocket Raccoon, portrayed by Bradley Cooper. And let me just say, he is phenomenal. I really love this character. He was my favorite one throughout this entire movie. And Bradley Cooper really was voice acting the character as outlandishly possible as he could, as he was such a lovable, drunk, swearing, genetically engineered raccoon that Bradley Cooper very much pulled off throughout the entire movie. And like I mentioned before, he was just my favorite character. Glenn Close, John C. Reilly, and even Benicio del Toro as the Collector really also do add a sense of credibility to this film, as Del Toro in particular has a really funny scene and how ridiculous he pulls off his lines and who his character is supposed to be. So overall, you can tell I really did enjoy the cast. My only problem? Well, that is with our villain, Ronan, played by Lee Pace. And that is no issue with how he is portrayed by the actor, as he does a fine job. I just did not think he was showcased enough to be as intimidating as he was supposed to be, as he does lead this huge army, but I did not think that he was enough to be really as much of a great character as the rest of our cast. But that didn't bother me too much, as I think this movie is more about the Guardians of the Galaxy in general. So yes, as I mentioned before, this cast is great, as well as the characters that they portray. Now, the plot may seem very formulaic on paper, as it is a story that has been done well before this movie has come out, which involves a relic. Both the hero and villain want it. Boom, they fight over it. And I think the plot was just about enough of story we needed in order to get the movie going, as what quickly overshadows the story is the humor. Man, this movie is funny. Consistently so, I would say, as these characters, hero or villain, do deliver some funny lines that were meant to be serious, but sometimes also come off to be hilarious as well. And I think it worked in the movie's favor, as this is such a fun movie to watch with the right kind of humor. Now, the humor is great, as you may have guessed, but what really adds to the humor in tandem with how it is portrayed is the visual effects. Now, the visual effects are just spectacular all around. From how the CGI characters are composed in their entirety, to the environment and how space is shown in this movie. And it really does make everything in this movie seem real. And not only how realistically they look, but how the whole environment, how busy some places look, and how creative the designs of everything just are portrayed. And yes, I saw this movie in 3D, and I would recommend seeing this movie in that format. IMAX if you can as well, as everything from how massive the scale of this movie is really does add to the 3D factor, which makes everything come out at you, not in a gimmicky way, but it really is an extra aesthetic that really makes the movie seem like a bigger world than it really is. So I guess you can say that this movie really does pop out. No, but bad jokes aside, however, I really do think seeing this movie in IMAX 3D adds an extra aesthetic that really sci-fi, action, or any type of fantasy movie really can only add to a theater experience that is worthwhile, with the action and the visual effects really coming together in a spectacular fashion. All of this really does add up to be a special kind of movie, especially coming from Marvel Studios, as very recently they have tried out a spy espionage type of flick with Captain America the Winter Soldier, but now they have tried a space opera type movie reminiscent of the best Star Wars movies, and they have succeeded immensely well, and I am just curious to where the studio goes in the direction they have set up with new types of superhero movies. My final thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy are that despite a weak villain, this is just a fantastic superhero movie. I love the space setting. I love the humorous characters. I love the crowd-pleasing action and dazzling visual effects, especially when seen in IMAX 3D. This can definitely go down as one of the best Marvel movies that the studio has ever put out, and I would definitely put it one pedestal step above the already excellent Captain America the Winter Soldier up against Iron Man. I really do think that this is a memorable superhero movie that will be one for the ages until the franchise will, of course, continue forward. My final verdict for Guardians of the Galaxy is 4.5 out of 5 stars. Be sure to like this video, leave comments on what you guys thought of Guardians of the Galaxy and of this new format of how I'm going to shoot my movie reviews. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.